Welcome to Hell. Cast. Rediscovering the warrior spirit within. Serious times ahead. But we can do this. We have to. We have to.
Hey everyone, this is Echo Mike 001 with Hellcast. With this episode, I want to talk about CCP China a little bit. We have all of the things that we know that are true about CCP in relations to America, right? We have fentanyl coming through our southern border. We have a lot of our jobs over there in China. Let's see. We have some elites that are very friendly with China. Bill Gates, for example. We also have the World Economic Forum, which is kind of like the thing that is pulling the strings of COVID-19, it seems, for the great reset that we're all living in. And then today, through Epic Times, I learned that CCP China has just put in a police station in New York City. So a Chinese police station in New York City. Apparently it's to, monitor Chinese citizens here and abroad in other places. And so it's not just America, like Ireland and other places throughout Europe are allowing CCP China to plug a police station or a police bureau of some sort within their homeland, which is just crazy to me. It pisses me off. And so I think the title of this talk should be, is the Democratic Party covertly, which is to say, bypass the radar of the citizens to work with China. So it seems that way. Let me give you some examples. I listed off earlier that a lot of our jobs went over there to China, and still have yet to be brought back, which is the key point, I think. We know that Mexican cartels have some sort of affiliation with CCP China. They're just right on our southern border. They're receiving fentanyl from China, and it's making its way via the cartels into our nation, and it's killing a lot of people, a lot of vulnerable people. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's getting into candy and shit like that. We have COVID-19, that which came from China, obviously with some sort of partnership with government, but I'm not going to go any further than that. Whatever's going on, it's not like there's a whole lot of fight against it. There's some, quasi-tough rhetoric maybe, but there's no big stick. There's no deterrence against Taiwan, and Taiwan's a big deal, guys. So, for example, the United States currently is sitting around 20% of the global GDP. China is right there also, hovering around the 20% of the global GDP. So then imagine if China takes over Taiwan, right? Then in a few years, it takes over the Philippines, right? And all the neighboring countries around China, Cambodia, Vietnam, China puts its thumb down hard on them, and they're forced to submit. You then have China with 50% of the global GDP, and there's no other entity that controls 50% of the GDP. We're already experiencing things like TikTok and Twitter and all these things censoring things of this nature. Imagine if China had its way on our way of life right here. That's what will happen, because these are talking points from Albert Jacoby, who I see eye to eye with after listening to a lot of his talks, among others, but a lot of his talks. He seems to be the guy that makes the most sense to me. Europe is already a quote-unquote fractious region. Not one country is a powerhouse. Germany is the biggest, has the biggest stake in global GDP. But you can see with Germany, they're so weak. They're a weak country. I mean, they have to do a lot of readjusting to be any kind of a military power that's substantial enough. We're reliant on Russia's oil. The point is that all of those European countries, they're going to be forced to participate in China's market. And China is going to be like, you're not going to participate in our market unless you meet our conditions, our communistic conditions. And so there's going to be, when that happens, everything about Europe and their way of life is going to change. And that same thing is going to happen to us right here in America. So it's a big deal. Not only that, as China continues to amass power, the correlatory effect to that is that the U.S. will decline in power. Imagine America declining in power, basically indefinitely. So there's either going to be a big war, or there's already a partnership, because we're also in serious debt with China. And one could say that China is calling on its debts. And we either have to pay or something. Now I'm starting to get into conspiracy theories, perhaps. But Seattle and Portland, they have Antifa there. They're very communist. It's a force there. They're among the youth. Not everybody, but for whatever stranglehold it has on Portland and Seattle. They're conditioning the area to welcome the Chinese, and then you have those ports which China would love to be able to come in if they were to ever do a military excursion or something. They would definitely be using those ports. I mean, they're so far inland. You go through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. You pass through all the way, get into Seattle. I mean, that's quite a ways. And that's deep. Like, big ships go through there. I mean, you have naval massive naval ships that go through there. So it's already built for that. It's already ready-made. Portland, same thing. Same thing. You just come in through Astoria, to the mouth of the Columbia, sail up, all the way into Portland. That's conspiracy theory stuff, though, so I just want to... But I see it as a logical outcome in the future if that's indeed what's going on here, which would also imply a war. If especially if citizens still have their guns. I don't know, but I think about all these things all the time, but I have no crystal ball. All I know is that police stations in America that are Chinese, it doesn't make any good sense. It's absurd. It should piss everybody off. That's incredibly absurd. And when you tie in all of these things, that the World Economic Forum praises their social credit system, that Bill Gates, and who's a big name and puppet master in this COVID-19 effort, he was just praising like 20 or 30 year anniversary with China, between him and Microsoft. Or China and Microsoft. So that's friendly. That's friendly attitude towards what our founding fathers would say is an adversary. And so like MAGA, the MAGA patriots around here very much yearn to continue to hear the ghostly whispers of our founding fathers, view that relationship between China and some of our elites as very adversarial. But these are the people with all the money, so much money, and you could be a weak soy boy punk, never done anything, never shedded any skin, shedded any blood or anything like that for this country. But if you make it and you can make a lot of money in America is power, and the difference is that people with money like that, they have what's called critical distance. You put a MAGA dude in a room with somebody who is like that, for the most part, their power is not equal, right? Not even close usually. Like Bill Gates, what's he gonna do to a jacked veteran, right? Who may be living on $60,000, $70,000 a year? Nothing. I mean, that guy would body slam him. The point though is that there's this huge series of people between the public and getting to Bill Gates, right? And so that's such a luxury. I mean, it's like a general on the battlefield. He's in the middle of the convoy whenever he travels. He's surrounded by a bunch of armed soldiers in the center of a compound, while he's sitting in his command and control post. And it is a series of people between him and the possibility of a threat. So that's a form of power also. But I don't like this idea of getting too close with China. It makes the hair on my back stand up like a dog. Anyway, I'll end it here. I wanted to just share those points with you. The police station in New York, that's a Chinese CCP police station in New York. It just seems absurdly crazy that this is happening. I felt like it's newsworthy. And then, like Brett Weinstein had this quote: "It's not what we say a thing is, It's what the thing actually does that matters, right? So all these people that are soft on China, through action-wise, they're soft on China, but using tough talk, if we're focused on the tough talk and we're believing that and not looking at the actions, we are being duped. That's how I see it. We're being duped. So how are things moving on the ground? Because words, anybody can say words, but giving resources and time, energy, and effort, that's action-based stuff. That's not words. And we're not seeing any action. There's no military deterrence for China, against China in defense of Taiwan, which I think is really important. There's no solvency at our southern border. All of this implies intentionality. So, and a lot of this stuff is not in America's core interest. The American core interest for a citizen is, as Elbridge Kobe put it, our prosperity, our physical security, and our freedom. That's it. And that's not being done, right? Like, people are very polarized, rightfully so, but are also like, some are scared, some are concerned, some are angry. There's a lot of mixed emotions going on, and it's all legitimate. It's all legitimate. So we are in this situation, in this phase where we're like a pop can that's been shooken up, and all of us gases are just confused and all over the place and just wanting to explode, right? And so all it takes is somebody to kind of crack a hole in the can and boom. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at. I feel like America is on the brink of something big. But I'll end it here. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Echo Mike 001 with Hellcast. Good night.